Tonight on Auto Check, we leave the economy cars far behind and begin to look at some of the luxurious and expensive touring sedans currently being offered. And what better place to start than with the new baby Mercedes? The Mercedes-Benz 190 can be equipped with either a 2.2-liter diesel engine or a 2.3-liter gas engine, and your choice of either manual or automatic transmission. Performance being of greater importance to us than economy, we opted for the larger gas engine with a 5-speed manual. This is the smallest Mercedes available, and believe it or not, at $31,000, the least expensive as well. When the car was introduced, there was a lot of controversy about how Mercedes could dare to charge so much for a car that didn't look much different than a Honda Accord, wasn't much bigger than a Mazda 626, and on paper at least didn't perform much better than a Pontiac 6000 STE. However, it only takes a short time behind the wheel of a 190e to drive away any doubts about the car. It's a Mercedes-Benz, complete in every detail, confident that it can uphold the heritage of the company that invented the automobile. I wasn't the only one that was won over by the 7/8 scale Mercedes.
It is their downsized car, I guess you could say, but I can assure you it doesn't have that downsized feeling about it. The car is very luxurious, obviously, in the price range that it is, but it feels big. It's not the small car feeling that you would get from, let's say, a little BMW 320 or 318 as it is now. This feels like a nice big motor car. Big steering wheel again in Mercedes. I don't know if I really like that. I don't object to it too much, but I don't really know if it's my cup of tea. I'm sure if I had this motor car, after a while I'd be putting a small steering wheel on it to feel more precise.
Mercedes have long enjoyed a reputation for being safe cars, a feature that Tony has appreciated firsthand.
I've been around Mercedes for the last 20 years. Unfortunately, not owning one, but driving quite a few. And I was in East Africa for the East African Safari Rally with Sterling Moss in a 220, one of the older models, but bigger than this. And we were going through a small neighborhood outside Dar es Salaam when a buffalo came over in front of us. We were doing about 130, 140 mile an hour, and we hit it head on. And the whole body of the car stayed in one piece, and the engine came back through past us. Didn't damage us at all, but the car, the safety of the car was unbelievable. The buffalo got up, shook itself, and ran away. But the car was completely devastated. But the actual unit body construction of the car stayed together. The worst part was this dashboard and the centerpiece coming through from the engine. One big point on safety that Mercedes obviously has been thinking about through all the years that they've been in the business. I don't think I would have liked to have trusted my life in the hands of any other motor car but the Mercedes, as it was then, and I'm sure it feels like now.
The gas engine option in the 190e is a 4-cylinder single overhead cam unit displacing 2,300 cc's. It's almost magical the way the Mercedes engineers have managed to remove all traces of 4-cylinder roughness from the engine. And while it's by no means a tire burner, it does provide adequate performance.
The engine and gearbox combination is rather nice. It's a 5-speed gearbox with a 4-cylinder engine. No turbo, but fuel injection. It's a little bit slow off the line. I've seen some figures showing sort of rapid 0 to 60 figures, but I don't quite believe those, not in this motor car today. But the car is fast enough. I'm sure you'd be quite satisfied with the performance of the car. The gearbox, 5-speed, forward gears, 5th is an overdrive. First is a little bit slow between 1st and 2nd. It's quite a wide gap, but 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and again overdrive into 5th is very pleasant. There was at no point today in the test that we were running out of a gear or I felt short of a gear. However, it wasn't all that fast from a standing start. It certainly isn't a sports car, but it's a very, very beautiful touring car with sporty looks. One thing that I'm very, very impressed with, and it seems like I'm impressed with lots of things in this car, is the instrumentation. I've read in the magazines, I've read in automotive magazines how they praise this interior layout, and I can assure you that any part of this car with any of the instrumentations you want to touch, it's done with yourself seated, belted. Everything is close to you. You can reach absolutely everything without any problem whatsoever.
Before this begins to sound like a Mercedes-Benz commercial, let's talk about some of the things we didn't like about the 190e. Fuel efficiency is an extremely legitimate concern these days, and to that end, Mercedes has brought all of their expertise to bear on producing a car that will slip through the air with a minimum of resistance. Skinny tires will do that better than fat tires, and that choice has damaged the handling of the car.
Mercedes have always been guilty, I would say, over the years that I have known them, to undersize the tires. Obviously, again, my being in the tire business, I tend to be very critical of this, but they put a beautiful Mercedes mag wheel on the car and a good tire, a Michelin MXL tire, and they put a 175/70/14 size on it, which is really, it's an old European sports car size. I think the car looks like it needs more tire, and it certainly feels in the handling department that it needs more rubber in the ground. The car squeals a lot in the corners. The tire pressures as we have them right now are the way that you would drive them, and I think that if I was going a long journey, I would feel a little bit under-tired. On the tight corners today, I felt the car understeered. You had to drive the car in, put the power on, it would understeer a little bit, lift off a little bit, put the power on, it would switch very slightly to oversteer or more into a neutral position. I would have thought in a car of this class that in tight corners like that, it would have responded slightly better. However, on big, wide open corners, like you would get on a freeway, or say up in the mountains, or on lesser roads rather than freeways, the car handles beautifully. It goes from one side to the other. The transition is very, very comfortable. You never once today have I felt out of control with a car at all. I've had complete control, but I must criticize that slight understeer in tight corners. I'm sure you driving your 190 wouldn't be throwing it into the corners exactly the way that I did it. However, it is a good point to make that it's a sporty sedan touring car, and basically it handles very nicely indeed. If the ideal car in this category had a 10, I would give this car an 8.3.
The Mercedes-Benz 190e 2.3 is certainly up to the company's very high standards. But at over $30,000, you have to wonder how much you're paying for the prestige of the three-pointed star on the hood. This week, our thanks go to Mercedes-Benz of Canada and to Tony Morris of Circuit Tire.